Hello, and you are listening to FPcast, the podcast for Fruitless Pursuits, where we bullshit about the week in pop culture. I am Luke.
And I'm Jacinta.
And this week we're talking about...
Movies, television, collectibles, video games, comics, books, board games, and more.
Explosions!
Got a lot of action.
Yeah.
This is an action-packed episode.
Yeah, there's some explosions and some arse-splosions too.
Yeah, and they kind of... I was going to say cock-blocked. It wasn't really cock-blocked. It was more like coccyx-blocked. Explosion. Are we talking about the same arse explosion?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Everyone's very confused right now. This awkward segue is about the fact that we're reviewing two very interesting films, both that I would like to talk about in some depth. Spoiler-free, of course.
Both had a lot of hype attached to them prior to their release.
So today we will be reviewing both Atomic Blonde, which we were lucky enough to see 2 weeks early, thanks to friend of the show, Ian, and Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan's new joint.
Yeah.
We just came out of the cinema from that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a few trailers. And then, of course, winter has come all over us.
So white and sticky.
We're wiping the winter off as we speak. The first episode of Game of Thrones has hit. Therefore, we must do our Fuck Yeah Game of Thrones recap.
Well, don't say must, It's not a chore.
No,
it's a wonderful, exciting thing.
I'm saying we are obligated. That's what we do. It's not a chore. It's not a choice. It is what it is. So we will be reviewing and recapping that first episode of Game of Thrones season. What are we? 7?
Yeah.
Season 7, and that will have spoilers, which is why we'll do it right at the very end. But first up, the only one bit of news we really want to focus on, because everything else is just sort of headlining stuff, but
the bit of news that came out mere hours after we recorded last week.
But certainly the biggest, most high-impact pop culture news of the week is the reveal of the new Doctor Who. Is it Matt Berry?
No.
Is it Matt Smith again?
No. There were lots of rumours that it was going to be, what's his name? Chris someone. The bottle guy from Love Actually. That was the rumour for a long time. The gingery, big, tall, goofy bottle guy.
That was after Keira Knightley. That was stalking her?
No, that's the Walking Dead guy.
Oh.
No, Bottle Guy is the guy that goes to the US and hooks up with all those overly hot women and then comes home with them.
Yeah.
Colin something. Anyway, there was the rumour that it was going to be him and people were just disgusted, which is not very nice for that poor guy, but it was not revealed to be him.
No. So we saw a hooded figure walking through a forest. Now, I had my suspicions when I saw the figure because...
it was a slender figure.
I'm an expert in this, and I said to myself out loud, watching it, I said, you want some fries for that shake? I said to the screen. And hood comes off, and oh my God, were a lot of minds just blown. Because there was something about this doctor that no other doctor, and I'm talking like medically anything, has ever been before. And that is that rare beast, a woman.
I know. I'd completely forgotten about this reveal happening, and I'd gone to bed early, and then I woke up with a start for some reason.
You could sense it. It was like a million male voices crying out in agony.
To be silenced, and then I checked my phone, and then just this fucking explosion was just there of these people just... I agree with it, I don't agree with it, whatever. And I was like, oh, yeah, God, I'd completely forgotten about that happening. And I went, oh, okay, great, turn my phone off and went back to sleep.
So Doctor Who is a lady now. Jodie Whittaker.
Yes, from Broadchurch.
And
I haven't seen, but I am told that it's very good.
So she's had some, she's been working with a former doctor.
Yes.
Getting some tips.
Yeah, and
no doubt.
The new showrunner is from Broadchurch anyway.
And also she's in Attack the Block with John Boyega.
Yeah. I don't remember anything about Attack the Block.
She was the nurse.
Okay.
She's the female lead in that.
Is she? Okay.
And I don't know a lot about her. I don't remember. I like her look.
But she looks great.
Most of all, I'm just personally think it's really fantastic. that we finally have a female doctor, because with the fiction of that character and the fact that you can regenerate into whatever, law of averages would say, with women being 51% of the population.
Yeah, and I mean, people are going, oh, it's not canon that he can regenerate into a doctor. It's like, well, it's not fucking canon that he can regenerate past 12 regenerations either, because that was what was meant to happen. So, you know, they can make whatever the fuck they want happen. Who cares?
It's all gubbins, isn't it?
It is all gubbins. I haven't watched Doctor Who for years.
It's all timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
It is. I'll probably watch a couple of episodes. I'm not like, you know, crazy thrilled and saying, well, I'm going to definitely come back to Doctor Who. I'm happy that this has happened. It is about time. It was going to happen eventually. Might as well happen now. But I don't know that I'm necessarily going to jump back into Doctor Who full time.
No, I would like to check it out. I'm just curious, really, to see the take on the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm interested in also, like, the look. What's it going to look like? What's the costume going to be look like?
The costume's always a big reveal, and that's interesting as well.
So is it do we believe that then there's, like, this masculine mind in this character? Do you think that's how they're going to play that? Or is the Doctor more sort of amorphous than that?
I think so. I mean, there's never been a real... Oh, from what I really remember, that the Doctor has been extremely, like, masculine in any way.
Matt Smith wasn't very masculine.
He wasn't very masculine, no. But there's never been any kind of, like, male kind of... specifically male, like, sexual energy or strength or anything like that. Like, if you look at any of the Doctors, they're just... I don't know. They're getting advantages through their time travels because they are mostly white men.
I'd be surprised if it's not suit-based. Maybe suit-based with a bit of flair or a bit of a switch. But I just mean, like, is it going to be one of those Freaky Friday things where the Doctor spends the first episode staring at himself in the mirror, touching his own boobs?
I don't know.
We don't know. That's why that's the question on everybody's lips. And needless to say, like, there was a contingent of men that were just outraged by this. I stayed away from the comments for the most part because...
I read them because I wanted to punish myself for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's gross. And it's like not only men, like it's women as well going, we'll just leave well enough alone. It's like, but why? Why? Like, you'll get another male Doctor again. Like, it's going to happen again. Maybe... Like, if you're going to be that much of a baby about it, just fucking skip it. And anyway, it's a kid's show, so don't take it so fucking seriously.
Yeah,
it's all
make-believe. It's all fun and games. They'll switch it up and they'll keep changing. You don't like this one, another one will be around the corner before you know it.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're worried, like, oh, but, you know... but he's, you know, I don't know, like the women, like, we don't have a Tennant or a Smith-style Doctor to fap to. Well, there'll be a companion. I'm sure she'll get a fappable companion to solve that problem.
I know that there's all men going, oh no, but I can't cosplay as the new Doctor. It's like, welcome to being a female for the last 50 fucking years.
Yeah, and no one's interested in you cosplaying as the new Doctor anyway.
No.
How? No one's that invested in it.
No one's that invested in cosplay unless you're doing it.
I'm not going, oh, this is good, this is new. Oh, but wait. Think of the cosplayers.
Yeah, but how does this personally affect me? Oh, negatively. Oh.
The first comment I read was something like, oh my god, like, I can't believe they cast a female Doctor. Can we just please keep politics out of our entertainment? And I was like, it's politics to cast a woman in something. You've really got a half-half chance in terms of what you're casting in something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that whole Star Wars stuff. There's a female lead. Oh, that's a feminist agenda. No, like, look out onto the street, look around you. And I had this with a kid at work who, lovely kid. I'm not saying anything bad about this kid at all. I'm a big fan of this kid. But it just shows you that sort of thought process. It was like, I don't mind, like, diversity in films, but not when it's, like, sort of done for the sake of it, or when they're kind of, like, trying to push diversity. And I was lucky to be able to say, just turn around and look at the room. And look at the people in this room. And there were a lot of different people in that room. And
I imagine they were mostly male.
Yeah, the nature of that. But I said, you know, is it diversity for the sake of it, or does that reflect the world? And I think if we went out, we'd see a lot of women in the street. A lot of fine-looking, sexy women. They're just out there wandering free range. It's incredible. Well, there's probably people now just stopped. I just probably lost a lot of male listeners.
Yeah, they had to walk outside
like,
and...
Really?
Women?
There's women out there? I got to check this out. I had no idea. That changes everything. Yay for Doctor Who. So look, it's fucking Doctor Who. Like, anything would be... anything. Like, just try whatever at this stage.
Regenerator's a fucking cat. Like...
Right, yes. Why not? Like, yeah. Well,
Dr. Mew.
Yeah. Great. Done.
Yeah. I imagine there's already that fan art out there. I don't imagine that I came up with something new there.
I'm sure that we have said this prior when we were talking about possibilities after Capaldi left. It had to be a woman. It had to either be a woman or they had to bring out a really safe bet, big gun, like Matt Berry or someone that, you know, everyone was going to think, oh, this is really cool. But really, you had to switch it up. Like, change it up.
But then there's other people going, oh, well, I don't mind it being a woman, but why couldn't it be someone like... I think we talked about Tilda Swinton and stuff. It's like, Tilda Swinton's not going to do it.
Yeah.
She's just not. Like, she's got bigger fish to fry.
Netflix original films. And plus, don't go an androgynous woman. I'm glad they've gone a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mean that as though I love androgyny.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess you don't
like
want,
they haven't half-assed it. They haven't gone,
you don't want them to hedge their bets. You want them to go all in.
Yeah, not just dipping your toe in.
Yeah.
To the womanly waters. Like, go for a swim.
They're very warm though.
Get your hair wet.
Yeah.
Put your head under. So there you go, Jodie Whittaker.
Female Doctor Who, fantastic.
I'm very happy for you.
Unfortunately, it's still Doctor Who.
that's the only issue. But let's see what happens.
New showrunner, things may change drastically and it may get really good again, but I was just getting so sick of how silly it had become.
I heard there's going to be a pink TARDIS now.
How will she get anything done? She's going to be so emotional about all the people that she comes across.
Yeah.
Is she going to have a whole section in the TARDIS for her shoes? No, probably not.
Well, she could, because it's bigger on the inside. Says Jodie Whittaker, from what I've heard. No.
Yeah.
Look, there were other things as well. I feel like we've talked about this long enough, but then, you know, you mentioned... what newspaper? What was the newspaper thing?
I don't know which paper it was. I think it was an English paper. It was a Murdoch-owned paper, and literally a day after it got announced, they dredged up some, like, naked photos of her, whether they were screen caps from a movie or something like that, and published them the next day.
Yeah.
Like, completely demeaning the whole announcement and what it means for Jodie, for, you know, female Doctor Who fans, for sci-fi female fans everywhere, completely undercutting that and going, oh, but look, she's naked. Look at her naked. And just kind of purposefully taking away that power. It's so shit.
And it's nothing to do with the story.
No.
And and the newspaper's not the place for that anyway. Look, I like naked celebrities as much as the next person, but that is just fucked up. It's not the venue, not the time.
And it's so putting their cards on the table as to where they stand with progressive female stories. Like, they don't want it. They're like, okay, well, there's been some progression, but look, let's pull it back 25 years.
And final word on this, retell that thing you told me about the tweet, about what's next? Are we going to have...
Oh, I haven't got all the list, but there was a couple where a guy had been like, oh, well, what's next? A male, are we getting a male Wonder Woman? Are we getting a male Sex and the City? Are we getting a male Xena? And there was a couple more, but I can't remember what they were. And someone replied to it and went, well, yeah, male Wonder Woman and Superman. Male Sex and the City is Entourage. And male Xena is Hercules.
You can just do whatever the fuck you want now anyway. You know, SDC, San Diego Comic-Con's happening this weekend as we speak. I saw pictures today of action figures that were Ninja Turtles as the Ghostbusters.
Oh, I was going to send you a picture of those, but I was so horrified.
I know, it's so fucked up, and it just shows you we literally are at that stage in entertainment where
actually
the real stuff has become like deviant art.
I had actually forgotten about that. Thank you for bringing that horrifying image back into my head. Fuck. It was like, they're so ugly.
They are hideous. The original Ghostbusters, of course. Ninja Turtles as female Ghostbusters would be too progressive.
But wait. Is Ninja Turtle Ghostbusters better or worse than those Ninja Turtle wrestlers that we keep seeing at the shops? The Undertaker and this, like, they're awful.
No. But the difference there is they look like the Ninja Turtles dressed up for crazy, wacky action. Whereas
But they're still just wearing fucking wrestler clothes.
Yeah, I know, but they've got, like, long hair and face paint and crazy. The weird thing about the Ninja Turtle Ghostbusters is, like, Raph is Winston. So you've got a Raphael in a brown jumpsuit with a black moustache and, like, tight black sort of afro. So, or you've got like Michelangelo in a brown, like a beige jumpsuit with Bill Murray's receding hairline. It's really weird. But yeah, apparently there's a market. There's so much Ghostbusters stuff, but no one is doing any merch for the female stuff, which is kind of sad. Anyway, there you go. What a world, hey? What a wonderful world. Let's talk about some trailers. We just watched the trailer for Bright. Now, this is a Netflix original film directed by David Ayer, who did Suicide Squad and Fury. And it stars Will Smith. It's coming out on the 22nd of December. And it's sort of like an LAPD buddy cop film, except the fantasy world, elves and orcs and fairies have leaked into LA. And these are the cops that go out and do them. And his buddy is an orc.
Yeah, and the first half of the trailer really felt like that almost human kind of buddy cop vibe where, you know, there's a human and then there's a non-human who is partnered with him.
And I bet they have a different point of view.
Oh, I imagine so.
I mean, not as, like, weird as, you know, when an American teamed up with an Asian in Rush Hour. But,
how crazy.
But, yeah, orcs and humans. Well, let me tell you, you don't have to subscribe to World of Warcraft to know that that's a problem.
Yeah, and then they stumble across a magic wand and then shit goes down, apparently.
And you think, okay, orcs are rough and tumble, burly, potatoey people.
Yes.
Where do we get the perfect person to play an orc? And it's our neighbourhood. It's down. It's down under.
It is. They went to just the prime potato patch.
Yeah.
Our big brown potato patchy land.
I mean, you know, orcs. We think of New Zealand mostly, but
Yes.
I think for a lot of Americans, it's all the same. It's all in
It
that
is.
rough area.
Yeah.
So it's a mate of ours. In fact, it's one of the holy... I don't know if it's a trinity. We might have to figure that out.
Yeah, well, it's the one that we've been in a room with, so we're
That's
even more
true.
friends with.
Well, we've been in the room with two of them. I would say the holy trinity of Australian actors is Wertho, Edjo, Weno.
But what about Jaiko?
Jaiko's like if you can't get Wertho, Edjo, or Weno.
Okay, so we're going but not Spuddy actors, because I don't think Weno is a Spuddy actor. Like Jaiko's the Spuddy Trinity.
Yeah,
Spuddy Trinity.
That's true, but Weno can, like if you watch Get Square, he can totally turn up that Australian charm.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a knockabout lad.
Knockabout lad, yeah.
So,
okay, all right,
and
all right.
and with that, I'm just talking about male actors, but also like Margot.
Yeah.
Just her name is already.
She's a shoo-in. Yeah, absolutely. We don't even have to give her a nickname. It's already there.
And it just goes to show how Hugh Jackman is just so out of that loop, because no one would even ever call him Jacko.
No, he's not a Jacko.
Because he's a song and dance man.
Yeah.
You know? He's a Jack man.
Have we actually said who this is yet?
It's Edjo.
Okay, it's Edjo.
So Joel Edgerton is an orc.
Yeah, fantastic.
And let me tell you, no matter what your take is on this Bright thing, if you think December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas, I'm not going to sit down and watch a Netflix movie where Joel Edgerton is an orc, then you are mistaken, my friend, because I'm going to chew that up. I'm going to be dreaming of sugar plums, fairies, going to be hanging out my stocking, and I'm going to be watching Edjo be an orc and get that magic wand.
Yeah, I like it. I like, it feels a bit... kind of 90s Will Smith, that really dry kind of Men in Black kind of vibe thing that he's got going on. And I like that. I liked Will Smith in his prime, and I'm glad that he gets to do that kind of, not easy stuff again, but what he's good at.
And I just look at them and I think, you know, you guys, you have so many differences. There's going to be so many misunderstandings of a cultural nature, but I bet by the end of it, you guys are pretty tight buds.
I hope there's some kind of event that makes them realise that perhaps they're not so different after all, and that perhaps that they can live together in harmony.
I reckon that orc's going to, at one point, risk his life. You know, to save Will Smith.
Or maybe save Will Smith's family?
I would be pretty stoked if one of them, I don't know which one, but at the end is on a stretcher getting put into the back of an ambulance.
Oh, and he gives the other one a thumbs up?
It gives a bit of a thumbs up to the other one. Yeah, I don't know which way.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you can tell us on our Facebook page which way you'd like that to see. Yeah, I'm going to do something which more podcasts should do. You know when somebody mentions something and you don't really know what it is and you're not that invested, and then they start talking about it, and there's a point where you go, I'm going to watch that thing. But then you have no recollection of what the fuck it was that they mentioned in the first place. It's called Bright.
Oh, Bright, yeah.
Yeah, it's called Bright.
With Joel Edgerton.
So, because I'm sure when we said, oh, there's this Netflix film called Bright, you went, oh, yeah, pull the other one, and you kept on rowing at the gym on your rowing machine.
I think we had talked about it previously, because there was a teaser that came out, wasn't it? Yeah.
But now
got
that
a
we've
full
explained
trailer.
the rest of it, you're like,
Now that we know that Edjo's in it.
put it on your calendar. I will be edging on December 22nd, won't we? We'll be edging all the way through that. Hour and 45 minutes, I reckon. That's my... That's our new thing, new segment on the show where we guess running times of future releases. And then the final trailer that we watched today was The Shape of Water, which is Del Toro's new thing, where he seems to have been so pissed that he wasn't able to do Hellboy 3 that he grabbed Doug Jones and the Abe Sapien costume.
Kind of did it anyway.
And pulled it aside. Now this... I've talked a lot. What's this about? How would you describe this?
This is about what sort of time period would you say? Or is it's meant to be a timeless sort of thing? Maybe like 50s, 60s kind of inspired?
I was going to say like 20s, 40s.
Okay.
I don't know.
Earlier. It's got a...
It reminded me of Bioshock.
Okay, cool.
There you go. People don't know history, but they know video games.
Yeah, they do. So it's a lady that works at some kind of lab scientific place, and she is...
So it's a science fiction.
It's a
fantasy story.
It is.
A woman that works in a lab.
I know, how crazy.
Yeah.
More, she's the cleaner, though.
True.
So, she does the odd jobs, and she...
It's a tough job, but someone with breasts has to do it.
Absolutely. And so she's cleaning one day where all these fishy tanks are, and she finds a fishy man.
Yeah.
And she is a mute lady, so she only communicates through sign language. And she starts communicating with the fishy man and develops a sympathetic relationship with him. And then the nasty, evil science men are going to try and chop him up and learn about things. And she wants to save him.
Find out what makes him tick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a clock.
Yeah. It was probably going to be like a skeleton and a heart.
I would imagine so.
Michael Shannon's the guy that wants to cut him up.
Yeah.
And you can imagine, he wants to get him on the slab and go, wow, how does this thing work? And then open it up and go,
oh, that's how.
It's a skeleton and a heart. I reckon there's a brain in that head. Let's crack it open like an Easter egg.
We're not so different after all.
Fuck, there is a brain in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does he swim? Well, he's got muscles and fins and things. Maybe we didn't have to cut him.
Yeah. So, it looks really cool, though.
It's lovely, atmospheric trailer. Great music, great vibe. I don't know if in this dark universe thing they're planning on doing a creature in the Black Lagoon, but if they are, then Del Toro's just giving them the middle finger, because I can't imagine how they would do something better than what he's going to do with this Fishman love story. I mean, there's, if she's there sort of filtering out his stringy poos, that's a bond. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, if she can still love him despite the fact that... Are we sure it's Doug Jones? Are we sure it's not just a naked Benedict Cumberbatch in there?
Well, I mean, it did say Doug Jones, but maybe they're just, they didn't want to reveal Benedict in his true form.
Have you ever seen the two of them together?
Honestly, no.
No, and if you had a name like Benedict Cumberbatch, wouldn't you, change it to Doug Jones occasionally? I would.
That's fair.
It's true. So, I don't know. That's a bit of a mystery, a bit of a conspiracy theory. Write to your local... senator. Now, let's do some reviews. Let's talk about some movies that we actually saw from beginning to end and weren't just cut up random scenes. Oops, maybe one of those is. But Atomic Blonde. Now, this is directed by David Leith, who directed John Wick, and I believe is doing the Deadpool sequel. And I don't have any information. I've just got Atomic Blonde on here. So this is off the top of my dome. So if I got it wrong, look, at least I know some shit, right? But starring Charlize Theron. How would you describe this thing? It's based on a graphic novel.
It is, yes.
Called The Coldest Night? The Coldest Something?
The Coldest Something, yeah. It did look very cold.
Yeah.
Extremely chilly film.
Set in 1989.
Yes, so just before the fall of the Berlin Wall, East versus West, and she has to go and liaise with an operative who is undercover in the area, and everything kind of goes to shit, and she sort of has to fight her way out, with some other things happening along the way.
I really enjoyed this one, and I've got to admit, when we came out of it, I sort of thought, okay, this is a 3.5 out of 5 for me. And the thing is, the film has lingered with me. I've thought about it, and I've remembered stuff fondly, and when that happens, and it doesn't happen a lot, I realise, like, this film's better than I thought it was. So I'm going to give it a 4. I think initially I was thoroughly engaged with the style of it, the feel of it, the look of it, and the performances. And Charlize is amazing in this. I think she delivers a performance which is far beyond the material, even. Like, she commits 100% to everything that she does. So I was more engaged with that. That said, though, there are times when sequences and things which just suddenly grab you. Like, there are some really beautiful bits in this film. So I think, it betrays maybe its pulpy graphic novel origins, where the story perhaps is a little on rails there and isn't the greatest thing ever, but fuck, I love the feel of this film.
I think I was similar to you in that with the clarity of a couple of days of sort of mulling it over. I have given it an extra star, but that's going from 3 to 3.5, not 3.5 to 4.
That's not an extra star. That's a half star.
Half a star. Well, you gave it half a star. Whatever. Maths is not my fucking strong suit.
I'm not here to give you a maths lesson.
Yeah. Look, it's a tricky one for me, because if I think about particular scenes or particular things within the movie, I did enjoy isolated things within the film, but the film as a whole, I didn't really love. And it is because of the pretty, the plot's not very strong. And the absolute worst thing for me, and this isn't the movie's fault per se, but everything is in the trailer. Every fucking thing that there's
not everything, but
basically every action scene.
You get a piece from every scene in the trailer.
There's a couple of scenes that I knew how they were going to play out as soon as they started, because I'd seen it in the trailer, and that was very disappointing. And the bit where you see it in the trailer where they open up all the umbrellas, if you hadn't seen that in the trailer, it would have been amazing in the film. But because you'd seen it all, it was like, well, where's the surprise? What else is happening here? And I did love the style. There was one big particular scene that wasn't in the trailer that I also did love, and that kind of got me going again a bit. But it's everything is there.
I know, but then there's that thing, isn't there, where ultimately a movie exists beyond that. Like, that's where you sort of reflect on it differently, and your experience is different maybe in a year or 2 years.
Yeah, and as I said, it's not the movie's fault
because ultimately
how the trailer was cut, but still, that's what. Yeah. It impacted my enjoyment of the film, just knowing how a lot of that was already going to play out.
Because you can only be surprised once.
Yes.
And after that, like when you watch films multiple times, it's not about the surprise anymore. It's about the quality of the film and how it, fits together and how it works. So it's like, something like Star Wars comes out and we're all, spoilers and things, and we've seen this and we've seen this. But then there's a point after that where you watch the film a couple of times and it's just about the film. Because you already know everything about it, and you're just enjoying it and looking at it for what it is, and sort of looking at the texture of it and the feel of it and the shots and stuff. And I think it's quite accomplished. I think I sort of pushed you to mention that way that the Doctor Who news was received, because I think that if you look at the promo posters and cardboard displays in the cinemas and the quotes that they've pulled for this thing, which are sort of weirdly condescending.
Like femme fatale kind of stuff.
And Charlize Theron is showing the boys how it's done, the action boys how it's done kind of thing. I just think that's absolutely the wrong way to approach this, because I think what she does and the character that she creates, even though I imagine on the page that character's pretty loose, like there's not a lot to it, I think it's so fleshed out and so real, and some of the emotion, there's a lot of big tight close-ups of her. Some of the emotions, the desperation, the kind of drive, the push of this character, it really impressed me, and I think it's so leagues beyond what we've seen like The Rock or Tom Cruise or whoever do in that arena. I think this film sits outside of that. Its closest relative would be John Wick. I liked it more than John Wick because, there's gun violence in it, but not the same sort of gun
It's not
porn.
gratuitous gun violence,
And even though the trappings of the story are quite comic booky, the action sequences themselves I found very real. They're very desperate. Like, they're about survival. And she's so believable. And she does what it takes to get out of a situation. It's always about her propelling herself out of a situation that's gone south and using whatever objects or things she can get her hands on. And this is bloody violence, not in a sort of massively gratuitous way, but in this stuff that's happening hurts. It's gonna hurt. And you feel that. You see the aftermath of that. It feels very real. And I really admired that. Like, I love that journey that she goes on. And I just think, it's so different to the bloodless cartoons of Fast and the Furious or something like that to pretend that there is an action arena or of the boys and stuff, that's like a fucking 80s, 90s Schwarzenegger Stallone thing. I think we're past all of that. And I don't know, there was such a big deal made about Gal Gadot being the first female superhero to have a movie, and that's valid. Like, of course, we have been behind that as well, but you haven't really heard that about this. And I guess that's because there have been action movies, but I do think this is sort of special. I do think this is the thing where it's naturalized. It's more naturalized than, say, Wonder Woman is. It's something which... It doesn't feel like a gimmick. There's nothing out of place here. It's, Charlize Theron embodies that character and does what she has to do, and I thought that was great. So, cool music, really iconic, great look, some wacky design in the background. It's got a sort of weird Grand Theft Auto Vice City sort of neon thing. Everything's either bright and colourful or dirty and drab, and... I had a good time with it. So, I do recommend it for sure. And it comes out properly, about 2 weeks from now?
2nd of August, I think.
I think it's the week after.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think we got it 2 weeks before, so it's like the 9th or 10th or something around there. Maybe same time as Valerian.
No, I think it's a week before Valerian. But yeah, anyway, it's a couple of weeks' time anyway.
Look. Just Google it. All right?
No, I'm actually only really glad we saw it early because it's meant to come out the same week as The Big Sick, and I really want to see The Big Sick, and I know that we would have had to go see Atomic Blonde over Big Sick. So I'm very thrilled that we've seen it early.
Now, we can just do whatever we want. Let's talk about Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan's new thing. You set this up.
So Dunkirk is the story of a whole bunch of English and French soldiers being stuck on the beach at Dunkirk and having to be rescued by English forces. They run out of... Well, they don't run out of boats, but it's too hard for the boats to get in there to save them all, and the Germans are coming and shooting everyone down, so... They activate the civilian navy to come in and help them out. The trailers for this one have been amazing. We've been getting in at all the conventions and stuff in between panels, and I'd really been quite hyped for this because this is pretty well in my wheelhouse. Like, this is something that I tend to usually enjoy. And look, for the most part I did, but it really just feels like a nice war movie that Christopher Nolan has just flopped his dick out onto and just made you stare at his dick for 2 hours.
Yeah, which is to say...
It's so Nolan-y and not in a good way.
Yeah, there was a point where it started to actively irritate me because on the surface this film is beautiful. It's very well shot, very well put together, just wonderful, thoughtful shots.
Yes.
And for the very vast majority of this thing, everything looks so real. Like, and we take that for granted, but when you think about how movies were made 10, 20, 30 years ago, and you think everything here, I don't know what's practical and what's not. Like,
I was spending a lot of those dogfight scenes. There's a couple of shots that I sort of went, oh, I'm pretty sure that's CGI. But there was a lot of shots where I'm like, I'm pretty sure that they've just got replica planes and they're up there flying around with GoPros on the fucking wings and shit.
It feels so real. Like, the veracity in that sort of... there's not a lot of dialogue. It's
People don't speak for about the first 15 minutes of the film.
It's more of a journey, so... With all that in mind, like, I love that feel, and I feel like that should have been enough. So tell that story. But there is Christopher Nolan timeline editing tomfuckery here. It's not told in order, and it's sort of spliced up and mixed around. There's... Do we say what the device is?
Oh, I think... in one way, I don't want to, like, sour people to it, but also I think maybe people might want to be prepared going in. Because I felt like a little bit like I was trying to play catch up for some parts of the movies, and that wasn't very fun. To
be as vague as possible about it.
Because, I mean, they have said previously that they are telling 3 separate storylines at once.
So it's 3 stories that interweave, but they're on slightly different timelines.
Yes.
So one's a week, one's a day, one's an hour.
Yes.
Before an unspecified event, which will unfold in the film. So the problem with that is, for me, like, war movies particularly, I feel like it's about immersion. We went and saw this in IMAX particularly for that. And I know a lot of people, certainly my age and a bit younger, can remember going and seeing something like Saving Private Ryan and that beach scene, and just how immersive and terrifying that was. And the choice of shots, the sort of reality of it all, makes me feel like, it's quite immersive to begin with, but the minute you become aware of this fuck around Nolan time thing that he's doing, and the fact that he's trying to create a puzzle in there as well, and the time that your brain spends then going, oh, okay, and trying
So we're here, and this is where this is, and it's like...
And you start spending your time, instead of being immersed with these people in this situation, you're shuffling the pieces in your head and trying to click them together.
And it doesn't need that. Like, it's a solid enough story by itself.
And and then suddenly I'm not about these guys in this situation. All I can think about is Nolan doing this stuff, and Nolan suddenly is like a character in the film. Like, I feel his presence in there, and I don't want to. I want him to be invisible. But, like you said, it's him waving around his dick, and it's like, well, put it back in your pants and just tell the story. It's a hat on top of a hat. It's like, what do you want me to focus on? It reminds me of scrapbooking, which annoys the shit out of me. When someone takes a nice photo and then goes... and sticks it in a thing and then let's stick some seashell stickers around it and write good times across the top. And it's like, what do you fucking want me to look at? Do you want me to look at and enjoy this photo, or am I supposed to be looking at the seashell stickers or whatever? Like, just stick to one thing and do it really well.
Yeah, I'm not that angry about the different timelines thing, but just the way it was used, especially towards the end. Like, when they first kind of revealed what they were doing, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. Let's see how this goes. But towards the end, something would happen, and then suddenly you've just reversed, like, 10 minutes, and then you're watching this thing happen all over again from a slightly different perspective. And it's like, but you're not telling me enough new stuff about what's just happened, really. You're just kind of showing me the same thing again.
And I've already seen the outcome.
Yeah.
You put someone in a situation that I've already seen the outcome of. So I go, well... And it's just distracting because it's not even to this point where there's this big magic puzzle piecing reveal at the end where you go, bam, everything in place, now I get it. Now I know. Because when things do sync up, it's not like, bam, there it is, credits.
No, it's just like a little quiet little,
And you go, the amount of things that you did, like the gains you got, weren't worth a distraction for me. And it's not a clever gimmick anymore. There's totally an Emperor's New Clothes vibe for me with Nolan, and I've said this about other films. where he does that and people go, oh, you're a genius. And it's like, well, not really. Like, when I saw it in 94 with Pulp Fiction, I was like, whoa, fuck, I've never seen that before. You can do that in a film? That's great. But we're a long way out from that now. You know, are you a genius to take a film and then cut it up and shuffle it around and then go, will you piece it together? I don't think you are, because would... You know, Dark Knight benefit from cutting in some footage of Batman Forever? Like, what the fuck is going on there?
Yeah.
It's like the editor came in and went, Mr. Nolan, I've got your new film. Oh, and tripped, and it just shattered everywhere, because film shatters.
Yes.
And it was like, I don't have time to piece it all together.
Let's just throw it together and see what happens.
Let the audience sort it out. You're a genius, Mr. Nolan. Why, thank you, boy.
Oh, and I'm even, like, angrier now about, after having read some reviews and stuff of people going, this is one of the best war films of all time. This is, like, the best war film of the decade. And I'm just like, oh, really? Like, is this the only war film you've seen this decade, or...
He self-sabotages. It's like, just pick what you want to do, focus on it, and fucking do it well. Just tell the story well, because...
Well, he did focus on what he wanted to do, but it was to, like, jizz all over the film. That's what he wanted to do.
It's a detriment to that story, which is a shame, because it's so wonderfully shot. The music is as big a character as anything.
Oh, God, yes.
Like, I've never been more aware of the music in a recent film. Like, you know, I'm talking about score. That ticking clock is constantly reminding you that, but then that's Nolan as well, isn't it? Like, there's this ticking clock noise all the way through, which is basically saying to you, this is about time and the arrangement of time, and which is like, remember when you first watch Batman Begins and every second line is about fear. It's like, here's the theme, and I'm gonna
smack you over the head with it.
Just belt you with it. Belt you in the chops with my big old theme.
Yeah.
All the way through it.
And the one that it does veer into Hollywood schmaltz a couple of times,
It does.
which I don't really love. I mean, I'd expressed a little bit of distaste, not on the podcast, but I think I'd said to you that initially there was a rumour that it was going to be PG, and I was a bit upset
It's
by
bloodless.
that. It is bloodless. I think a lot of the deaths throughout the film don't come through necessarily gunfire and explosions and stuff. So, spoiler alert, if you are really anxious about drowning, then maybe take a step back from this one, because there's a lot of that sort of stuff going on. But yeah, there's a particular storyline that if I had my way, I would cut out completely, because it was just 100% Hollywood bullshit.
We'll wait for our YouTube fan edit where that story goes, and then we do Nolan the favour of putting this thing in the right fucking order. Let me say, though, and this is a compliment to the film, about the bloodlessness. There are times in films when you're so aware of, like, the bloodlessness in terms of a rating, where characters are all getting shot up, but there's no blood and they're falling on the ground, etc., or violence is cut away from. Like, normally you're hyper aware of that. I don't feel there's any compromise here. There's no moment where I think you're kind of hiding it or cutting away from it or gilding it. I feel like everything happens as it should. But it's just the way that it's shot. It's not about focusing on that. The perspectives that it chooses are just far enough removed that you're not seeing that detail.
There were some scenes at the start where they were dropping bombs and the people who'd been killed by the bombs were just sort of lying there. But apart from that...
were just... I know what you mean, but I thought they were just concussed. You know what the cleverness as well of this thing is? Because I'm watching them... They're on a beach, everybody, remember. And this isn't a spoiler, but you know, like, on the beach where you've got that wet, sort of hard-packed sand right near the water. And there's big groups of them walking across it. And the sand, there's not a single footprint except for the footprints they leave. And I'm thinking, is this the first take? Like, are they restoring that?
There's about 500 guys with rakes.
Yeah, I'm like, this is, that's tough. But then I'm like, we're in the world of CGI. They can fucking get rid of footprints in a second. But I didn't think about that at the time. And that's because it feels so... That's the thing. That's where, like, schmaltz is a problem. Because if everything looks and feels so real... the schmaltz doesn't work. Like, you can't... You've got to set a tone and stick with it. Whereas, if it's more... something looks like Pearl Harbor and it's shot like Pearl Harbor, then, you know, it's...
Which I fucking hate.
then
and I was right in the age. Like, I was like 15. I loved Ben Affleck. Josh Hartnett was great. I was primed to just be so into that film. And I walked out of that going, that was awful.
Why can't Nolan just fucking rest with the fact that he is a unique filmmaker? This film has a unique look. His style is all over it, and that's a positive thing. He doesn't need to then try and memento the fucking thing as well. Like, why do that? And then we mentioned the music. It's another Nolan trademark as well, this idea of the sound mix being music-focused rather than voice-focused.
You could hardly hear some people talk sometimes, yeah.
And Tom Hardy... Like, again, this is a man who likes to put on a mask and just gabble incoherently into it. If you understood a word Tom Hardy said in this thing, I hope that we get a Tom Hardy podcast called Tom Hardy in a Mask. This guy just sits in his house, puts a pair of underpants over his face and goes for like an hour. It'd be more popular than this show. But, yeah.
Well, what is Tom Hardy?
Yeah, but What's going on there? Crazy.
Yeah. I think there was enough else going on with Tom Hardy's character that his other actions were illustrating things that you perhaps weren't able to pick up with him saying. So I don't know that was entirely unintentional, but there was bits where Kenneth Branagh was standing there and talking out in the open, and you were struggling to really pick up things that he was saying.
Sound negative, but this is the thing that I wanted to with criticism, and that I think people should be more focused on. Like, I don't feel we're generally nitpickers. You know, it's not, but there were CGI monkeys in Crystal Skull or whatever. It's taking a film which for the most part does work and is worth your time. You should go and see this. It looks great. Go and see it in IMAX. But it's just sort of identifying, well, what is the thing that went wrong? What is it? And for me, that's the thing. Like, I've got to single out that one choice and sort of say, well, really, that's what stops this from being like a great film.
Yeah, and it's annoying to me. Out of this month, this was the movie I was looking forward to.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't, no Baby Driver, no Spider-Mans, none of that shit. I wanted this film, and it disappointed me because of what Christopher Nolan did.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Christopher Nolan, you know what you did.
I expect a really nice Christmas present, Christopher.
Don't do it again.
Yeah, my birthday soon. Can you just recut the film and send it to me, please? Thank you, Mr. Nolan. Oh, but Mr. Nolan, thank you also for Harry Styles. He was quite good. I liked him.
Do you know, next episode will be a day after my birthday. No, it'll be, a day before my birthday.
Okay.
Yeah, just let everyone know. My birthday's coming up.
No, great. We get to talk about Luke a lot.
Hey,
again.
you guys. Love that. All right. They were our reviews. Now we've got like 10 minutes of the show left. We're going to talk about Game of Thrones. Fuck yeah, Game of Thrones. There will be spoilers. If you're not interested in spoilers for Game of Thrones, then we're going to do our little thank you now. So thank you for listening. Really appreciate that. Go to fruitlesspursuits.com to find out everything we're doing. There's a new half-hour history up about dire wolves. That's a lot of fun. Listen to that one. Only 30 minutes of your life and well worth it. Links to our Facebook group. Come and join the discussion there. Links to iTunes, etc. Rate reviewers, spread the word. Whatever you can do to help us will be great. And also to our Patreon for the die-hard people. Game of Thrones spoilers start now. Let's launch a new year of fuck yeah. I feel like you should say that with me. A new year of fuck yeah, Game of Thrones. All right. We're in the wilds now. We're in the wintry wilds beyond George Martin's text. Mm-hmm. And what's your vibe on this?
Well, I mean, it's the first episode, so not a lot happens. But I gotta say that more happened than I kind of expected, which I think is what's really going to happen now that they've cut down all these episodes. I think there's some bits where I feel like they're maybe trying to be a little bit too smart, like the first scene with Walder Frey. Like, I don't know, are they expecting that people had forgotten that she'd killed him and that they were supposed to be surprised?
No,
by
they
all
showed
of that?
it in the recap beforehand.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people are like, oh my god, I didn't realise. And I'm like, yeah, but
well, that's dumb people.
That is dumb people. And like, I said this to my workmate and she was like, you just need to not think about it too much. But like, Walder Frey's so much taller than Arya.
Oh, fuck yeah. She's a little oysters, cockles, like waif.
Like, how does that work then? Like, is she standing on a box?
It made me think of the Skeksis from the Dark Crystal, with those big, like, puppet costumes with people inside them.
Yeah.
I was thinking that's got to be
Is she in a frame with a cloak over it or something? Like,
All right, look, you've identified that dumb people watch Game of Thrones.
Yes.
This is my fear. And I'm using fear loosely. We're not really afraid about what happens in television shows. It's television shows. That's like being afraid about peppermint ice cream. Mm-hmm. But my fear is, and I'm no purist because I've never read the books, and I probably never will read the books. But my fear is that as we leave the books, we're getting a simplified version of Game of Thrones for dumb people. And that's never struck me before. But it really struck me on this. Now, I understand part of it is that we're racing towards the finish now. And yes, there's going to be less surprises probably, and things have to be neatly tied up and things have to converge. But if you break down what happens in this episode, normally you have... Because obviously you've got a lot of characters, a lot of interwoven stories, and usually... we go from one to the other and they're quite different. We literally go through this journey in this one where John's like, Dragonglass. We need some Dragonglass. Let's
Where are we going to get some Dragonglass from?
Then we cut to Sam, who goes, I'm going to look up this book about Dragonglass. You know what? Dragonglass is at Dragonstone. Then we cut to Daenerys, who goes, here we are at Dragonstone.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course Sam goes, I'm going to tell John, who will presumably go to Dragonstone. And so this was all shuffling.
Yeah.
This was all piece shuffling. This was Arya going, well, I'll go to King's Landing. Jorah's like, well, I'm already at I'm at where Sam is.
Yeah.
So, and, maybe he'll sort me out with a cure for this thing. So everybody's just conveniently Morrowind fast traveling to where they need to be. But I've never seen that level of cause and effect in Game of Thrones before, where you've seen 3 scenes of 3 different groups of people who are thousands of kilometers apart, where the writer's hand is so visible of going, you need this, it's here, and you're going there. And that, for me...
It's never been so questy. Game of Thrones never felt so questy.
Yeah, whereas... For me, that lacks that richness that a novel would have. And I think even in terms of the dialogue, sure, I laughed every time Hound called someone a bald cunt or whatever. But there weren't even those memorable lines, or it was all shuffling pieces. And obviously there is a point where you probably can't go wandering around character developing and doing all these side stories. If you're going to finish in one more season, you have to bring everybody together and you have to get on with it.
Yeah, and they have less episodes, so they feel like they need to be a lot more economical, which is fair enough. But
so I appreciate that, but I am seeing a change from where it was. And I think that's unfortunate because it's, Game of Thrones, a lot of the joy, the reason it was must-see TV, the reason that everybody talks about it all day at work the next day, and the reason we do Fuck Yeah Game of Thrones is because it had the capacity to just pull the rug out from under you at any moment. And
at this point...
It's not going to do that.
No.
It doesn't feel like it's going to anyway.
No, I feel like at this point, John's not going to die, Daenerys is not going to die, Arya's not going to die. And so, it's like, well...
And I also feel there's some sleight of hand going on there, which... is visible. Like, you look at Sam's storyline, this whole montage of him with the shit and everything is a red herring. I feel like it's magician distraction technique, because you think about what he ultimately does. He steals a key and goes into that book. It doesn't matter. He can do that whether it's the first day or the 50th day or the 100th day.
Yeah, so we didn't need a comedy montage prior to it.
So that comedy montage is completely immaterial. It doesn't build... It's not about someone starting at the bottom and building their way up or having to be trusted or anything like that. He does something that you could have done on day one. So...
I guess, it does display his frustration over not progressing, but still, you don't need it.
It's a lot of faff.
It is a lot of faff.
And a lot of logs.
Yes. Speaking of faff and logs...
Ed?
Ed. My problem's not with Ed, necessarily. But it's like... it felt the least Game of Thronesy thing was Arya meeting up with a group of men and then them being like the nicest men in the whole of the world. And I'm like, what? I honest to God, thought they were going to rape her. I was expecting them to rape her and her having to defend herself and kill them all.
Raped by Ed Sheeran.
And I was like, oh shit, that's a bold choice. And then it didn't happen. And I was like, oh fuck,
That was the most awkward scene in Game of Thrones history. Like, that was so bizarre. It started, and I'm sitting here watching it with Suzanne, and then I'm like, and look, I'm old. I don't know about, the music the kids are into. Mm-hmm. But then, like, I've seen this ginger face on a poster on a bus shelter, and I'm like, is that fucking Ed Sheeran? And she's like, yeah. And then, like you, I'm thinking, well, every time a female character has been around some soldiers, they've tried to do or have done some pretty dark shit. And then, no, we're all going to be singing and happy and, like, hold each other's hands.
And I've got a kid, and I've got a dad, and I'm like, oh, we're people too.
Look at the fun we're having.
Yeah.
And they were glamping.
They were, yeah.
And, it just didn't feel...
Have some rabbit.
It's like we're out of the normal Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like, and what's Ed Sheeran doing there? Is, like, Taylor Swift going to turn up in a brothel?
Well, I mean, I have no issues with the Ed Sheeran thing specifically because other people from bands, like the dudes from Coldplay, have been in Game of Thrones, but you don't notice them because, like, they were integrated in a better way.
The only thing that was...
I have an issue with the scene. I don't have an issue with Ed Sheeran specifically.
It was... And again, I don't like to be that guy, but it was Fonzie on the motorbike.
Oh.
It was. I'm just glad...
I don't know. I think, like, if they were going to do it, they've got it out of the way early.
I'm just glad he didn't assault her because then she would have killed him and then she would have been walking around wearing his face and that would have upset me a lot.
That's very ginger racist of you.
Oh, I just don't like him.
Okay.
I just don't like his look.
Okay.
Makes me feel funny in a bad way. Okay. It's a bad touch.
Yeah.
What did you think of Sansa?
Yeah, it was a very interesting little squabble they had.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
It's a big... that's the thing that I did like. Like, it's a big change. Remember when she was just like a useless blubbering pudding that would just weep on the floor all the time? Yeah. But I don't feel like they've suddenly taken her in a direction that she hasn't earned. She's gone on a big fuck-off journey. And if you had done what she'd done and gone through what she'd done and been at the end of it, I mean, it's all right for John to say, well, okay, forgive and forget, but she's been through some shit. Like, no one buggered John at the wall, so, and he was sticking his semi-mongrel up against the back of Ygritte. Whereas poor Sansa's been through the ringer, so...
Yes, she has. Between Joffrey and Ramsay, she's had a pretty bad time.
Yeah, so I can't imagine she's got a lot of sympathy for what's happening.
No, but the 100% best thing in that scene is little baby Mormont.
Oh, she's the best.
Such a fucking legend.
She'll be the spin-off, riding a bear, just...
If they're already talking about Game of Thrones spin-off shows. Let's have a little baby Mormont spin-off show.
Baby Mormont. Yeah, her best friend is a bear.
Little baby bear.
And she just fucks shit up.
Yeah, she's the best.
Old beardy dudes, what's the what?
Yeah, little Davos is like, yeah, little girl, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, don't get too attached to another little girl though, Davos, because
it didn't work out so well.
We know how that happens.
Oh, and poor Jorah. Like, I feel so sorry for Jorah. He's just, like, such the series punching bag. But in, like, the same way that Sansa kind of has been. But Jorah hasn't learnt. He hasn't grown. He's just gone off to die.
He's turned into one of those, the
rock people from Neverending Story.
I was thinking those dudes that the Power Rangers just always kick the shit out of.
Yeah,
poor
eventually.
Fucker. Anyway, they're really my thoughts. That's the main thing I wanted to talk about, was just that idea of, we simplifying. Because, oh my God, and how many series, like, have ended with you going, oh, Daenerys, well, she's about to kick some serious ass. She's going to go crazy. I can't wait to this. Like, you think, the episodes are going to open up with the boats coming into King's Landing and the dragons. And no, it's just Daenerys again, goes with the dudes, hanging out, goes to a different place to sit in a different big empty room.
Yeah, it's been like, what, 7 years, and she
Yeah.
still hasn't done
I
anything.
know, like, that first season where it ends with her, like, naked and the rising from the flames.
And you're like, she's gonna fuck shit up!
Oh, and then she spent, like, a year in the desert with flies on her face, and I was like, oh, okay.
And then suddenly the dragons are big, and you're like, oh, she's gonna fuck some shit up now! It's like, oh,
one of them flies
no.
away,
And then
the
she
other ones
locks the
get
other
locked
two up.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get there. So, it's just the beginning. We'll cover every episode until the end of this season, of course. So,
And I think I said last week that I'd signed up to Foxtel to watch this fucking thing, and
shat the bed, didn't it?
predictably, Foxtel absolutely fucked it up. So I was really lucky that I still had some credit on my US iTunes account, so I went straight back to HBO, watched it where I should have in the first place, and honestly, fuck you, Foxtel.
Get it together,
Fuck
Foxtel.
you.
Okay. Look, right on time. That's our show.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye.
Eat a pie.